Congratulations! You've just welcomed home a new pet. Now that they're settling in, we need to think about the first vet visit. Why is that important? Let me tell you. I'm Dr. Mireille Cardinal, and I'm a veterinarian, and I'm passionate about preventative care. So in these videos, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks about how to best care for your pets. The vet visit is very important because that's where you're going to get good information about caring for your animal. It's also an opportunity to double check that everything is well. Sometimes we adopt an animal either from the shelter or from a breeder, and we're not exactly sure in what health conditions we get them. Of course, we're assuming that we get them in full health, but that's not always the case, and that's where a vet comes in to really give them a good assessment. So, here are 5 things that will happen when you go to your first vet appointment. The first thing the veterinarian is going to do is a thorough physical exam. You want to make sure that your pet is healthy and comfortable. So the exam will go from nose to the end of the tail. And we want to make sure, especially if they're kitten or puppies, that they don't have any congenital malformation. That means that we're looking for things that are abnormal at birth, whether it's going on in the mouth or it's an abdominal hernia, for example. And the other aspect that we're going to check is the sex. Is it a female or a male? Sometimes we get surprises. We were expecting Carlos, but in the end we get Carla, for example. So those are things that are going to be checked at the first visit. Point number 2 is vaccines and dewormers. Vaccines are important because they help build a strong immunity against multiple diseases that can be very serious. If you're bringing in a kitten or a puppy, you can expect to need multiple vet visits within the first year to booster these vaccines in order to build the immunity. These vaccines will later on be repeated during the course of the life at different intervals, but it's really the first year where you're going to have multiple vaccines in a shorter course of time. In terms of deworming, it's not always the case, but some animals are born with worms. It gets transmitted from the mother onto the baby, and so it's very important that we get on top of it and control it, because otherwise it can cause things like diarrhea, poor growth, and we want to make sure that they're as healthy as can be. So that will be part of your first visit, deworming. Point number 3 is microchipping. A microchip is a tiny piece of technology the size of a grain of rice that gets inserted under the skin, and it codes for a certain number. And this number will be associated to your contact. And in the event that your pet were to be lost, vet clinics and some shelters can scan this number, and that will pop up your profile and will give you a call. Keep in mind that microchipping is sometimes required in certain cities, countries, and for international traveling. It doesn't necessarily need to be inserted in the first visit. It can be inserted in the future visits or during a procedure. So speak to your vet about when would be a good time to insert the microchip. Point number 4 is pet insurance. During your first vet visit, if you're bringing in a puppy or kitten, hopefully we'll be telling you that you have a beautiful, happy, and healthy animal. This is a time to sign them up for pet insurance because they won't have any predisposing conditions, meaning that the pet insurance will have as broad of a coverage as possible. And if you start them younger rather than later, you tend to have a better price. So consult your veterinarian and look online at the different pet insurance schemes and see what's best for you. Point number 5 is everything else, whether that be dental hygiene, food, nail clipping, training, behavior, what to wear in the wintertime. This is the time to exchange with your veterinarian, to ask all of your final questions. We want to make sure you leave the consult room informed and happy and ready to enjoy your new life with your new pet. What I do recommend before you start is that you prepare a little bit. Think about some questions that you have. Write it down if you think that you're going to forget. This is really your time to ask your questions and for exchange of knowledge, because what is the best way to care for a pet? Is to work together, the owner and the veterinary staff. And that was your first vet visit. I hope that they were able to answer all your questions, that you feel reassured, that you feel empowered to give the best care that you can to your new pet. Remember that the veterinarians are there for you, and we work together to care for your animal. So if you have any questions, give them a call, go back for another consult, or email. We're here to help. In the future videos, we'll be discussing other tips and tricks from a veterinarian to allow you to give the best care for your pet. So follow me for more. Thank you.